Wow. In Nigeria today, the word alone, loan, scares a lot of people. Not because they don't want to access money, not because they don't want to borrow, but because they feel trapped in the system. I'm sure you must have heard a lot of stories. For example, someone borrowed 10,000 naira, guys, and 2 weeks later, this loan app started calling the person's friends, family, and sometimes their bosses. It doesn't stop there. There was a guy that said his pastor was called and said his church member was a criminal. You guys, this thing is so funny. There was also a woman who came out recently and was like, her name was pasted with wanted because she borrowed a certain amount of money and defaulted for just 3 days. This madness has to stop. Is there a way we can actually borrow money without collateral, without harassment, and with dignity? Because come to think of it, borrowing money is not a bad thing. It's not a big deal in Nigeria today. Today on the Novice podcast, I always source for the right guest. He's going to be talking about how to access credits and loans in Nigeria in the right way. And who other to help us analyze all of this than someone leading the revolution? He is the co-founder and the CEO of Lendha, a community, a company that helps small businesses access quick money. In fact, he has a master's degree in business administration. Please, let's listen and be schooled today. Please welcome Mr. Tunji Olalekan.
Thank you very much, Solo.
It's good to have you on the show today. See, my body is shaking. I'm hot like this. I need us to dissect and understand why all these loan sharks, are coming for people. Come to think of it, popular loan sharks like, it's not from my mouth to go, yes, say Beyonce or Urobo woman, but you get what I'm saying. Why do these loan apps come for people? Send out defamatory messages, threats to individuals that tries to loan from their company?
I think we got here because the credit, access to credit on mobile phone became accessible without a structure. Having access to credit through loan, it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing because it makes things faster than when it was when we have to use passbook or anything with banking. But right now, we had a thing without structure, and now we have people that are very much more, they prefer data collection than dignity of people.
Okay.
So when it comes to data collection, finding the data, the contact of the person, and it becomes something very like what they are actually going for. The word of shame. It's like, okay, yes, let's use shame. If you can get the contact, this person will be able to pay back. This person must pay back. If you don't pay back, I'm going to do this. But the dignity is no longer there. So I think when structure is in place, things are going to get better.
Are they not infringing on people's rights? Because how can somebody borrow? I know of a woman that borrowed 15,000 naira, and by the end of the month, her money had accumulated to around like 40-something thousand naira. And next thing, they were sending threats to her daughter that, oh, your mother is a criminal and things like that. So how can we Nigerians, people that are borrowing money, be protected from loan sharks like this?
Okay. The first thing I always try to tell people is I have this Yoruba saying that Yekabe Kaba something we Kato Fabufadi. Don't mind my Yoruba can be so. It's I need to talk to the borrowers first.
Okay.
This is not a God will do it. You need to think about how you're going to pay back. It's not about taking the loan facility. You need to think about paying back first. So I think one thing we need to do, we need to talk about why we have organizations like FCCPC that are putting things in place for borrowers, for lenders, to ensure that they do not go beyond. And also we have some organization as well that are also doing that as well to protect the consumer. We also need to educate the consumer herself that when you take a loan, ensure you know all the details. If you're in a place where, but if you're on an app and they are so particular about your contacts, your details, than your access to the phone or contacts and all, than telling you about how you should pay back, you need to run.
True.
I'll tell you, run, no. Yeah.
Run, because why would you have access to all my contacts, and not just that, you are sending messages, sending threats. Literally, I was beside someone and they called the person, and for the first 10 minutes, when the person picked up the phone, was just cursing the person. And then when the person was done, it was like, hey, your husband borrowed a certain amount of money and he needs to pay back. So why? Why would they do such a thing?
I think because I said earlier about shame.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world whereby we don't want people to know that we took a loan.
Okay.
Unlike the Western world whereby you don't pay for things in cash, you pay with credit. But here in Africa, if you ask someone like, how did you buy this? Oh, now God, oh. Nobody's going to tell
God,
you
oh.
the source of how probably the payment is weekly or the payment is monthly.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I've seen customers that they on the same same market line. 3 of them out of 5 were our customers, and they don't know each other. They don't know.
No.
We don't tell anybody. Like, they
Privacy.
don't know. It's privacy until they talk to each other. And guess what? They have the same account officer.
Wow.
So if we could ensure that privacy is something that it's no brainer, that we are not going to go against it, and to ensure that people are more educated about what they can get, what they need,
Yeah. So
things are going to be better.
speaking on educating people, I was speaking with someone earlier today, and the person was like, taking a loan is like betting. You get addicted to it. How can people, small business owners,
MSME.
yeah, and salary earners, how can they access this credit and not become addicted to borrowing money?
When you get something for free, you go there again tomorrow.
Okay.
You get something for free. It's also the same way that if you could not, you think like people think it's a free money, but it's not a free way of getting money. It's a very expensive way of getting money.
It is actually
It is because it's a money that you have to pay back.
with interest.
Yes, of course, even in the bank, it's the way things work. It's a business.
Okay.
But if you see that family and friends, you can borrow money from family and friends without paying back, and probably determine when you want to pay back. But if you now check this for individuals or businesses, it's a very dicey way itself, because like playing bets, you have to put, oh yes, I'm going to win one day. People get into a loan because they don't have income to pay back this loan. So that means your debt to income ratio is very high. If your salary is 100,000 naira,
Okay.
you took a loan of 30,000 naira to pay back 40,000 naira. That means you spend 10,000 naira of your salary. That is not even
40,000.
enough for you for a 30,000 naira loan within a short period of time. So if you, as a salary earner, take a loan, you need to ensure that the loan you're taking is not, it's because you want to do something very vital and very important. And you need to ensure that you do not pay a lot of interest when you're doing that.
Okay.
But if you're a business owner, you need to ensure that your business the money is going into your business, not that you want to buy one bear.
Okay.
So that way you generate more revenue
To pay back.
to pay back.
Okay.
And if you see that you do not, before you take a loan, ask your family and friends first,
Okay.
because that is a patient fund that you do not need interest on, that doesn't earn interest or anything.
Yeah.
But always
Or
ensure to
harassment.
pay back.
Alright.
Because we all have that family and friends that the how they used to collect money is not the same way they used to pay
Pay
back.
back at all.
And this, I tell my friends that the same way you treat a bank loan is the same way you should treat a loan for a money you collect from your friends,
Okay.
because there is a time limit. Let's not forget, we live in a world whereby I'm borrowing you money not because I have too
lot of
much.
money.
I'm borrowing money because I do not have use for it at that time. You have use for it more than I do.
Okay.
And me too, I'm as well looking for people to borrow me money as well. So we need to keep the cycle going.
So, what are the red flags to look out for in borrowing money? Can you just identify a few red flags? Because, people are hasty. They need money ASAP, and they just go through their Google Play Store or their Apple Play Store and just check for any available loan apps and register, give access and things like that, and boom, they get loans, and they just see that the interest rate isn't what they can pay for, or the mode of payment isn't what they can, work with. So what are some of the red flags we should look out for when, applying for loans?
I think one of your posts online on socials actually talked about something similar to this.
Okay.
Because the first thing you need to do is check on the reviews. How are people responding? And the one thing we do well in Nigeria is word of mouth. If you like something, you're going to tell your friends. You're going to tell your friends. And another thing to also very important is to ensure that this organization FCCPC approved.
Right.
So the FCCPC listed a lot of the names of approvals, even pre-approved apps, so that way you know that these people are going to have, it's a needle that has thread.
Right.
It's not going to get lost.
Right.
So you know that you could actually report
them.
and you could report if there is another. They know that they have more to lose. And then you also need to ensure that they are NDPR approved. So that means they have your data is safe with them. Because, you're putting in your BVN, you're putting your NIN, and you do not want people to use your identity for something else.
True.
So it's not even about just that loan itself, because you can pay back.
Yes,
And future, you need your data to be safe. So when you do all that, and when you see that they are more particular about your data than telling you about how to pay back or what your rate is, the rate is. If they don't tell you the rate, don't take it.
All right.
Sometimes money is addictive. Anybody. If I tell you that, this is a list of people to write your name and collect 10,000 naira, but everybody is going to feel it without asking me like, what's the money for?
Yeah.
What are we feeling? Also, what's the money for? But people will feel first because they heard about money.
Yeah, that's just like a net, just catching them.
Yeah.
So, collateral. I want us to address the issue of collateral. What exactly is a collateral, and how does it work in the loan and in the credit system? How does it work?
In the credit system, collateral is one of the 5 C's of credit. So in credit assessment, the collateral says that I'm borrowing this person money, and I need something to hold on to that in case this person does not pay back.
Okay.
My money does not go to waste.
Okay.
So in financial world, it literally means that you have the collateral coverage should be about 120% of the money. So, for example, if I'm borrowing you 1 million naira, I need the collateral that is worth more than 1 million naira. It's also a moral compass. That means you have something to lose.
All right.
And but now let's bring it down to our home culture. The informal sector, which is more than 70% of the Nigeria SMEs.
Okay.
The collateral, if you ask Mabola or anything, or anyone with a mom and pop shop, if you say, oh, Mabola, where's your collateral? The money you make from your business, where do you put it? Don't you put it in your asset or so? Mabola will probably point to our stock.
Okay.
Those inventory, those golden penny, those spaghetti and cola is in our shop as a collateral, because that is where our money goes into. So this is why we've built something at Lendha to ensure that we use what they are currently used to as a collateral. The stock in their business is their collateral.
So
it is where their money goes into. We
don't necessarily need to put our father's houses,
no, we don't.
Our cars and documents for, as collateral.
We don't, because if we're talking about financial institution, traditional banks, now we're talking about perfected collateral documents like CR4. How many parents have CR4? Even if you have CR4, like, am I going to go to my...
So what is the full meaning? My audience.
Certificate of occupants.
All right.
So it shows that the government has actually, government owns all the land.
Okay.
Has actually apportioned this land to you and assigned it that it is your own.
Okay.
So am I now going to go to my father's house in Ibadan to pick his CR4 for a loan I'm taking in Lagos? And a borrower might not even think of going that. And talking about cars as well, how many small businesses own a car?
Yeah.
So we need to use something that currently used to, and then the Western what works in the Western world might not completely work for us because we need to do something that is fit for us here.
That aligns, yeah, I get you. So for salary owners,
Yeah.
salary earners,
That's
I'm always fighting their battles because I'm also a salary earner. So how can they have quick access to loans? Imagine someone just wants like 50,000 naira at the moment. How can he have quick access that doesn't have to go through the whole process of getting a loan? Do you get? And how can they pay back?
okay. I think the salary earners even have more access to facilities than business owners,
Okay.
and because their income is being determined and is very stable, so you understand that this is what you're earning at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month at your salary date. And I think a lot of traditional banks already have salary loans access for people that you can take a loan before your salary date.
Okay.
And if your bank is not providing that, we also ensure that, like for us at Lenda, our slogan is ask us before you ask any other person.
Wow.
So if you are, any of my colleagues should ask Lenda first, which is we should have the organization for us before they ask any other person, and we want to ensure that it is done fast as well.
So even your staff can actually borrow money from your organization.
Yes, they borrow money because it is a welfare bucket, and they need to borrow. They could take from the welfare bucket, and also to ensure that they pay back from their salary, and which is at no interest. Definitely, it's a benefit for an employee,
All
and if most organizations do have that benefit.
Okay.
And now, if it's not available, there are also other platforms that are catering to salary earners directly.
All right.
We have some partners that we actually refer people to. They are catering to salary earners because a product for salary earners it's not going to come with a lot of interest. We're not going to ask they're not going to tell you that to pay back quickly because you're a salary earner. You need to pay back at when your salary is due.
It's due.
You cannot pay. You cannot be paying 10% on the salary that
It's not increasing.
it's not
It's
increasing.
fixed.
That is fixed.
True.
So they have a process for that, and I think it's very nice. And I think a lot of things that needs to be done is more information to people, so people know that this is what you're getting in this organization.
Yeah. Wow. This conversation is just going and going and going. I still have a lot of questions to ask, and you still need to school us and my audience as well. But let's go on a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back, guys. Welcome back to the conversation, guys. So, Mr. Tunji, what of these alternative data? Because I've heard of recharge cards. Like, it's mind blowing. What does my recharge card usage and the way I buy a recharge card have to do with borrowing money? So, could you?
So that is about building your credit score.
Okay.
We keep saying that the small businesses do not have data. But we're thinking of the formal datas, like their bank, they've taken a loan history before or so, but they have datas. So we want to use everything that's associated with them, like their community receipts, their LOMA receipts, how often they pay their refuse bill, waste bill. So even at time, like we talked about, we have light bills. People pay, they're consistent with it. And so that shows that they could pay back their bills.
Wow.
They could pay. So we want to try and consolidate all this data together to ensure that we build a credit score that is aligned with our own culture, our own community.
Yeah. Wow. That's technology, and that's like moving real fast. So what would you say now that we're all evolving real fast? What is the future? What does the future of this credit business, what does it hold in the next couple of years? Do you think people will continue borrowing money or going to these places, these loan sharks for money, or people will just find an alternative way to live their life without borrowing money because of, the defamatory words, messages, and threats people really get most of the time?
I think for a community to grow, I'm using Nigeria as an example. you need financial institution needs to be there, which is we need to borrow businesses money. Businesses need to be able to grow. Businesses cannot grow efficiently with its own money. It has to have external funds as well to be able to grow.
So even this big, we're not just talking about small businesses.
We're not talking
even
about small
big
business.
companies borrow money, right?
Is the country not borrowing money? The country is borrowing money. A country will also borrow money as well. So if you see that, for us to be able to grow, like if you look back in time, financial institution has always been there, borrow money, but we need to ensure that the
Circle.
we need to weed out the bad ones. So that's a lot of things that need to be done right now. And if you check, things has grown and it's growing right now. Now people are more particular about transparency because I want you to be transparent to me. I want you to tell me everything before I go into this. We need to encourage that. So that way people can demand, because change happens when people demand for things.
So you said you need to trust each other. So does it mean that these small business owners are still going to rely on digital lending?
Digital lending is going to evolve. It's evolving because now we've moved to now we've moved to the point that you don't have to leave your business place before you get a loan facility.
Okay.
Like right now, when was the last time you went to a bank to make a transaction? It's been very long.
Yeah, true.
You just need to do a transfer. I don't think I've bought airtime with paper anymore.
At all.
I don't
I
have.
find it
I've
very
not
awkward.
done that. I can't find it.
Yeah.
You get. So things are going to move, and now it's going to be more because with regulations is catching up with us, with everybody. So that way, there is a carrot and stick approach. If you do not do well, there is a stick. If you do well, there's a carrot for you.
Yeah.
So now we have this and we have regulations that is on it and for everybody to be safe. It's not just for the borrower, but also for the lender also to be safe.
Well.
And things are moving faster, and we are working on educating people more, so that way people understand their rights and also understand that we are partners, not just lenders.
Woo! Before we wrap up, man, this conversation is really going. But before we wrap up, we have the Novice Dip, whereby the audience have sent their questions ahead.
Okay.
They want to hear your thoughts about how they feel. So you just pick a few questions.
Feels like a raffle draw.
You pick 3 questions, then I'll read it out for you. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
I'll read it out for you. Don't worry. Then okay. Tunji, be honest. Do lenders like yourself actually hope people default so they can slap insane penalties and make more money?
So I'm going to say that I think my pigeon is terrible as well. Like, but you never pay the money, now you go pay penalty.
True.
So the thing is, there is no bad customer. A bad customer is also a customer. A good customer is also a customer. A bad customer today is going to be a good customer tomorrow. Because a customer is not paying at that time does not mean the customer cannot pay, will not be able to pay. It is about having a discussion. That is why I said earlier that it is being partnership. A partner, let's talk. How is it? What's happening on the business? After, like, there's a customer we have to sell for ourselves.
Wow.
Not just because we want to retain the customer, we also want to get our money back from the business. But the only way to get our customer is to be able to help the customer to sell.
Yeah.
During COVID, we had to help some customer to sell by ensuring that because we got approval to be able to move around, so help them to sell to another people and collect money. So we delivery for them as well at that time. What we're trying to do is get our money and also help the customer to sell.
Wow. If I leave you today, we'll just be... So you have 2 more, okay? Is it ever wise to take a loan to pay off another loan?
That's the worst. I'm not gonna. I can like. Let me just say that's the most stupid thing to ever do, because it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because you took a loan to pay with interest, then you took another loan to pay with interest.
Wow.
Sometimes you just need to, if you're in a deep or you just need to first thing stop. Like I said earlier, like it could be an addiction. Stop first. Make a plan and make a payment structure. Stop. My colleague at work is going to tell me this, because the first thing I tell people is don't take a loan. If you cannot manage what you have right now, you cannot manage any other addition. As a business owner, you need to think first. You do not earn salary now. Don't take more than 33%. Your total loan should not be more than 33% of your salary. Because if it's more than 33% of your salary, how are you going to pay back? It's according to the law. The labor law says that as well. If as a business owner, to me, do not take more than 40% of your business worth, because that way you could pay from the profit of your business. There's nothing like God will do it in this second. You need to do it yourself, and it's from you.
You guys don't rob Peter to pay Paul. So the last question.
Let me pick the one below. Oh, this small. It looks smaller.
Okay.
It's gonna be small.
Let's see. If a small business owner keeps borrowing but never scales, should they stop taking loans? I think
because I have a policy personally, because that could be my mom. The business could be my mom. Is that if you borrow 1 million naira, if your business worth is 1 million naira and you borrow 400,000 naira, that means the business now you have 1.4 million naira in the business. At the end of the loan tenure, I want to see, when you fully paid your loan, I want to see 1.4 million naira in your business. Aside you've paid for everything, minimum of 1.4 million naira. Because that is the way to know that loan actually help. If it doesn't, we need to think madam, you need to stop. Go on the business first. Because if you keep paying from the loan, from the capital of the business, it's going to go down. Wow.
Mr. Tunji, before you run, I have one important question for you. If someone is suicidal and, the lending companies are after this person, what should the person do, or how should the company also help the person?
Wow. I think society is a very big word, and it's something it's a very mental issue that it needs to be taken serious. And because the person, like I said, because the person is doing today doesn't mean the person is not going to have an income tomorrow. And I think we also need to be able to provide solutions to customers, not just about what is going to happen. Also, we've had customers that owed us for 2 years and they came back to pay back.
Wow.
And because we give them breathing space to ensure that of course we have money, we need money to run, but we also want to maintain a relationship. So I think the first thing to do is get the person help. And the thing is, we need to there's some society there that treats mental health issues, suicidal attempts, and so like that. That way, we need to be able to help the person first. Sometimes profits might not be everything.
You can't say that for some loan sharks, man.
No, it's yes, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times we need to have human feelings more than, because in everything, in accounting itself, even in their books also, they need to make provision for loan impairment. That means loans that goes bad, and they need to make provision for it, and they need to be able to build on. If you treat someone nice, the person is going to tell to the other person oh, they treated me nice, you need to do well.
What of?
So I think to me, I'll tell the person you need to get help. You need to stop taking a loan, and you need to sit back and think. We need you. We are not going to build the company or this country alone. We need the person. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've come to the end of today's episode. If you're afraid of borrowing money, relax. There are other ways you can do that. There are other ways you can have access to safe and respectable loans. And our guests, any word of advice to our listeners that are salary and business earners?
Okay. So for me, what I'll say is, I'm sure my colleague is probably going to say like, borrowing is not bad, but borrowing badly is. If you need support and for your business or your for your income and all, choose lenders that care about your dignity and they care about your growth. So looking about support is very important because there is building habits. And as a lender, as a borrower yourself, you need to be ensured that you build habits. Don't use small borrowing to spoil your future because your credit report, your credit history is going to follow you when you're not there. Thank you.
It's a wrap, guys. See you on the next episode of the Novice Podcast. You know what to do already. Like, subscribe, and share to your friends. Another episode. Bye.